Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Is Breakfast Included? How are ya? Let's get to it. Ramiro Noriega is on the show today. Ramiro is a Dallas-based guitar player. He plays the Malcolm figure in the Dallas AC/DC tribute band Back in Black. Now, I shouldn't say Dallas because they're kind of like the premier AC/DC tribute band, so much that their singer auditioned for AC/DC back in 2016, I believe. He's also has a tribute to Van Halen called Mean Street. Now, I reached out to Ramiro and I said, hey, man, I want to interview you. And he's like, oh, cool. And then he showed up and we were going to talk about the Back in Black documentary that just came out, My Stupid Tribute Band on Prime Video. And then the conversation went elsewhere. He started telling me about himself, about his issues with anxiety and so forth. And then I opened up and then we kind of bonded over that. And it became a very cool conversation from that point on. And we did talk about the bands. We did talk about music. We did talk about how he got started playing guitar. And he did tell me what he likes at breakfast. So I am really happy with this. We did this outdoors in a park. So it's kind of a cool vibe. You hear kids playing in the background. You hear at one point an airplane flies over. But it's really cool. Let's check it out. Dude, you and I met a long time ago. I don't know if you remember this.
I don't, man.
You were in Wichita Falls, and I used to run around with this band that played Fast Eddie's. Do you remember that place?
Of course, yeah.
You worked the door.
I worked the door. I remember I almost got in a fight one time with a guy because he was like, I was being a smart ass, and of course, the guy's, twice my size. I didn't give a shit back then. But yeah, Fast Eddie's, I remember that. We used to play there too.
Yeah. So it was a band from here, and it was like, back in the 80s, and it was an out-of-town show. And I just kind of ran around with them as their tech or whatever, local band. And I remember just kind of hanging out and seeing you at the door. You had long hair, Hispanic, and I thought, I bet he's in a band. That's how I thought back then. And I went and started talking to you. Sure enough, you were an obscene jester.
Yeah.
And you told me, and I was like, holy shit, I've seen you guys. But that's when I met you. And you don't even remember that, dude.
We're talking 30 years ago, right?
So I have this really weird thing that I kind of remember shit like that. Times with that kind of, I don't want to say like meant something to me, but kind of like stuck in my brain. And then years later, I went to work with a friend of mine, and he was the guy that replaced you in Obscene Jester, Matt.
Oh my God.
And Matt, I remember he was telling me, and he said, yeah, I played in Obscene Jester. And I was like, no, you didn't. He goes, oh, you're talking about the other Mexican guy.
It's funny because he looked just like me. He's better looking than me, but whatever. But he's a Mexican guy with the same long hair.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He goes, I think they wanted to replace him with a guy that looked like him,
yes.
Try and fool everybody. But anyway, that's when I met you. And then, like I said, Matt and I are really good friends. We worked together for years at this hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I totally forgot that I quit and was replaced. They replaced me after I quit. I completely forgot about Matt. That's crazy. What a story.
But then I fast forward. I did this thing at first of all, man, introduce yourself. Let's go ahead and start it off.
My name is Ramiro Noriega. I've just been in and out of bands from Wichita Falls and then mainly in Dallas. I'm currently the guitar player for the Malcolm Young in AC/DC tribute band Back in Black. And I just started my own Van Halen tribute called Mean Street, where I do Eddie Van Halen.
Right on, man. Fast forward to, I'll finish the story now that I let you do your thing. It was at the Southside Ballroom, one of those throwback, it was like tribute bands, a bunch of them. And
Jack's Throwback.
Probably. And you guys were playing with Def Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who was headlining, but your guitar player, your Angus guy, forgot his wireless.
Mm-hmm.
It was so he was having to run around with a cable. I do remember that. But I saw you and I go, man, that guy looks like, And I looked up Back in Black, and sure enough, it was you, man. I reached out and I said, hey, what's up? I think I told you the story from Fast Eddie's then online.
You know that Southside Ballroom show, that was my, I think, maybe my 8th or 9th show with them or something like that, like 7 years ago.
Yeah. So you're from Wichita Falls. When did you start playing guitar, man?
Started playing guitar around 81, 82. I remember I have two older brothers. They're the ones that got me into rock. Thank God. I lived in a little town called Charlie, Texas. We're talking a population of maybe 100.
Yeah.
And you don't pass through Charlie. You have to be going to Charlie because it dead ends at the Red River between Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So, just a little hick town. Only Mexicans. I was the only Mexican in the school, me and my brothers and my sister. And anyway, so around 81, 82, I was, however old, 11, whatever. And my brother bought himself you remember the catalog Finger Hut?
Yeah.
So he bought, just a shitty little guitar and amp, probably for $100 combined. And he never played it. I remember I bought the Dawn Patrol album by Night Ranger. And I was just dicking around with the guitar. And I was playing the vocal melody on the guitar.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. And my brothers were like, holy shit. So they went and bought me a little better guitar. They bought me a Kramer, like one of the lower end Kramers.
Yeah.
And the rest is history for me.
Right on, man. Like you said earlier, you played in a band called Obscene Jester, which was, you guys had pretty good following here.
Semi-success,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I saw you guys open for Pantera at the Basement.
Yeah, probably you may have seen the weekend where we played a few times with them, but there was one special weekend where they were filming there in the same weekend. They were playing Friday and Saturday night. We opened for them both nights, and they were filming their Cowboys from Hell and Psycho Holiday videos.
Yeah, Psycho Holiday.
And so we got to be there the whole time, sound checks through the whole thing. And just a real quick, I've been listening to your podcast. By the way, if you're listening to this, listen to all the podcasts. Bernie's so great at this.
Thank you.
And there's some just riveting. The guy, I forget his name. He was Cliff Burton's bass tech.
Aiden Mullen.
Oh, was that Aiden too?
Yeah.
And he was under the bus with. It's a sad story, but it was riveting the way he was telling it. How close he and Cliff got, and he was under the bus too, next to Cliff. And anyway, so just go back and listen to Bernie's podcast. You'll hear crazy, interesting stories like that. So it was the weekend. They were filming those videos, and the first time I heard the riff, the iconic riff to Cowboys from Hell, my friend D and he was the other guitar player, D Connett. He knew Dimebag a lot better than I did.
Yeah.
You're not from Wichita Falls, you're from Denver.
No,
right?
from Denver.
Okay.
Well, I'm from Corsicana.
Oh, Corsicana.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So there's a little place in Wichita Falls. It's a bingo hall now, I think. But back in the day, it was called, it was Haley's Comet, then Journey's End. So this is back when I was a little kid. Pantera used to do matinee shows there, I don't know, once every 2-3 months. And D, who was the guitar player and Jester, he'd go back in the back room and get lessons from Daryl. I believe Daryl's dad had worked with D's dad, my guitar player's dad, at Pantego, possibly. Yeah. But anyway, so he knew D, and he kind of treated him like a little brother. Anyways, fast forward to that weekend, D and I are sitting there watching sound check. And, Daryl comes over. Hey, man, what's going on? He jumps down off the stage. We're sitting, this is at the basement. We're sitting at a table. Here comes Daryl. It's like, hey, man, here's a new riff to that, to our Cowboys from Hell, the video we're filming tonight. So the very first time I hear that was Dimebag standing in front of me playing it on his fucking guitar. So that's the first time I heard that riff. So, that's a story I don't tell a lot because it's just like, hey, look at me, and like people probably don't even believe that, but
well, no, you tell those stories, you tell people. It's kind of like when Nirvana played at Trees, everybody was there. It doesn't matter who you talk to.
Even though it was sold out.
Yeah, everybody was there.
Yeah, right.
Which but I was at those shows.
Mm-hmm.
I was at those shows, and I always my thing is I have the Pantera home video, and I used to try and pause it where you see my head in the video. And just a little dirtbag long hair in the video, but
I did some stage diving. I can't believe that I was never caught, on their videos stage diving. But anyways, that was one of the very, very, just in my musical life, that was one of the very, very coolest moments. Just an iconic riff like that, to hear it for the first time from the actual artist. Was
it's crazy, right? I mean that I've always told this story that when I went to work for this certain band, was working for the bass player, and my first day, he called me up to show me where the changes were, because I do a lot of changes from the side of the stage for artists.
Yeah, I watched you, not to interrupt you, but I saw your rig run down, and that's so cool, man. I watched that on YouTube. Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
And he started playing this riff, and he's like, this is where the chorus is here, then you hit the distortion pedal, and I'm just fanboying. And he's like, you all right? I'm like, dude, not only am I watching the guy who wrote the riff play it, but I've been playing it wrong for fucking 30 years. Yeah. But it's that type of thing. Like you said, the first time you heard that Cowboys from Hell riff, it was him playing it for you.
Absolutely incredible. I think about it all the time. Never talk about it, but it's a podcast, so it's time to talk about it.
Yeah, man. And guys like us who came up in this scene, or who are part of this scene, or just fans or whatever, I mean, that was a big deal. You know?
Yeah, huge.
It was a big deal. You just knew it was special. They were kind of doing something different.
Well, I knew it was special when they were with Terry Lee at doing their project stuff in Wichita Falls at a little matinee show with 50 little dumb little kids there watching them. Yeah, and I knew it was special then, because Dimebag, even when he was 16 years old, he was still he played kind of like he did toward the end. He seems like he was born playing. Like
it was like people. You hear folks say, like, the guitar is part of them. Like, he's one of those people where it was part of them. When you started playing, once you started playing, did you want to do anything else?
Oh, of course not.
So there was never anything else that you want, like, I want to be a fireman or anything. Just
as soon as I was playing that melody, the vocal melodies on that Dawn Patrol album, I knew, like, well, this is really cool, and I spent all my time listening to my brother's 8 tracks. There's a picture of me from 1978 where I have those big giant brown headphones on. I'm listening to Van Halen 1, and I'm just like, just lost in it. A little kid, and I already knew, Van Halen. That's what I wanted to do right there.
8-track, man, you're aging yourself. Ramiro.
Oh yeah, I mean.
A lot of people won't know what an 8-track is.
Yeah, 8-track. I had that's where I started growing up. I was listening to Destroyer and ZZ Top's Fandango Live and Van Halen 1, and and the list goes on and on.
Who was the band? Who was your band? Your guy?
It's always been Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah. It's hands down. It's not even close to me. Like if you ask me what the best guitar album is of all time, it's going to be Fair Warning, and you can have your opinion. It'll be wrong. You can't, I'll fight you.
Yeah.
But it's Fair Warning, hands down. Yeah. With Van Halen 1 a close second, and so on. But it's always been Eddie. Right
on, man. Yeah, I got to see their last show at Hollywood Bowl.
Did you really? Of course you did.
Well, it was by accident. We were there. We had a day off, and one of our lighting guy had tickets. He knew the production manager. We didn't know it was going to be the last show. We didn't know. We knew they weren't getting along. Yeah. But we didn't know it was going to be the last show. So. Yeah,
I got to see him on the 2012 tour. David Lee Roth. These days, even on that tour, he sounded okay, but he almost ruins it for me. But then I just focus in on Eddie, and Eddie was just playing just so well. It's just unbelievable, man.
I used to get shit because I was a kid. I was a child of Van Hagar. Mm-hmm.
Hey man, nothing wrong with Van. The Van Hagar stuff. 5150. I mean, it's hard to beat that album.
It is, right?
Love it.
Yeah, but the stuff with Van Halen. They're not one of my favorite bands, but they are up, in my top 10. Sabbath. I'm more Sabbath.
I forget which podcast it was. I've been deep diving into your podcast, but I remember you said you'd fight somebody if they are talking about the Dio era.
And
I love Heaven and Hell so much.
Well, I just watched the Dio documentary. Have you seen it? It's so good.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
And it talks about his time with Sabbath and why he left. But he joined Sabbath, and my argument is still like, he joined an established band, but Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell, you can't argue with those two albums. Can't. But I'll still fight somebody.
I was going to ask you, I mean, you do agree that Heaven and Hell is an incredible album.
I'm listening to Heaven and Hell right now, man. That's what I was listening to when you pulled up.
Okay.
Anyway, so Eddie, you were a Kiss fan?
Yeah, Destroyer was, I wasn't a huge Kiss fan, but, at that moment in time as a little kid, Destroyer was just like, God of Thunder kind of scared me at the beginning, but it was just there's something so heavy and evil about it that just really, that I really loved so much. But that whole album, Destroyer is so great. But for me, it was mainly, it was a lot of Van Halen. Of course, Ozzy. Who doesn't love Randy Rhoads? It's all the guys you would think. Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. For me, it was later on. It was Nuno Bettencourt.
Yeah.
Warren DeMartini. Those kind of style of players.
Yeah, Warren's so good. I remember when I was young and I'd read interviews and they said Warren didn't even know how to play rhythm when he joined Rat. He was just all over the neck. I don't believe that because he's such a good player all around,
Yeah, to me he's a little like Eddie in that, his rhythm playing is like it's so underrated.
Yeah.
And so I have a hard time believing that as well, but man, DeMartini, that little that vibrato that goes, straight up and down like that, love it.
Jake was always my guy. Jakey Lee.
Love me some Jake. Man.
And then, after he did Badlands, and then he kind of disappeared for years. He did Wicked Alliance, but that wasn't anything. But when he came back with Red Cartel, to me it was a big deal. And they booked to play Trees, and I bought tickets.
Yeah, I was there.
Immediately, and I got there early. And as I was walking up, he was coming off his van, and I stopped him. He signed my ticket, and I took a picture with him. Then
awesome,
everybody ran over to him, so the line just went away, and I got up front, and I stood in front of the stage for 4 shitty local bands to watch Jakey.
Yeah, that was I didn't think somebody had told me that they weren't going to do any Aussie stuff or any of that stuff. But they bust out with Bark at the Moon and it's just crazy
Ultimate
seeing
Sin.
Jake, watching, seeing him play that at Trees, it was amazing.
Yeah, he's I have his Charvel, his signature Charvel.
The black and white one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want that so bad, dude. Yeah.
How old were you when you first started your first band?
Oh gosh, it was a band called Nuisance. Just in high school, I moved from that little town in Charlie to Wichita Falls, and I was terrible in high school. I went to all 3 high schools in Wichita Falls, and anyways, I started out at a place called Hershey. And the first day I was there, I went out to the smoking pit. I didn't know anybody. I'm this little kid who doesn't know shit about shit. Never met anybody outside of my little small town. And I was just standing there probably looking like a weirdo. And here comes this guy, Donnie Johnson. I don't even know whatever happened to him. I should probably reach out. He came over and just immediately just made friends with me. Hey, man, you look like a rocker. And we started talking music. Like, you play guitar? Yeah. He goes, well, I got some guys that, need a guitar player. You want to come audition? Yeah, sure. So I go audition probably that week. And I do Alone Again. And they tripped out. Oh, my God, he can play the solo to Alone Again. And it turns out the singer in that band, a friend of mine named Tim Howard, best friends to this day. We talk pretty much every day.
Oh, wow.
So, it changed my life, the course of my life. And so I'm really grateful to him for that. But yeah, it was a band called Nuisance. And we did really well back then. We were just playing Metallica covers and, everything from Metallica to Poison to Whitesnake to whatever.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? One thing never changes, man. Like you just said, like I told you earlier, when you see somebody that kind of looks like you go, oh, I bet they're a metalhead, or I bet they're a goth, or I bet they're... And that goes on to this day, man. Kids that age range are attracted, they know. And I've always loved that. When
it probably helped that I was wearing I'm sure some kind of black concert shirt, so...
The black T-shirt.
Right.
I don't think I own a shirt that's not black. Man, so you joined Jester. You're playing the Dallas scene. Do you guys ever have any label interest?
I don't know. I think our singer and Dee, the other guitar player, and we had this manager. His name was Conrad Chase, but everybody called him Con Man Chase. But they kind of handled everything, and I was just kind of in the background, just getting as drunk as I could and having as much fun as I could back then. So I think they probably talked to some people, and right about the time toward the end of my stint with them, we started kind of going into that, you know, rap rock kind of, you know, Faith No More had just come out, and you know, we were kind of doing that thing, and that's a little bit of the reason why I just didn't want to kind of do it anymore. But I don't think it was anything too serious. If anything did come along, you know, as far as label interest. But we were just having fun and, you know, traveling in a van. But, you know, there's, I think, 8 of us stinking in a van and staying at the shittiest hotels imaginable, you know, the cockroach hotels. And, you know, and I didn't give a shit back then. As long as I had my beer and my weed and, you know, whatever else, you know, I was fine.
Yeah, right. I reached out to you because you're in Back in Black, and you guys are I guess, like the AC/DC tribute band, right?
I would think so, yeah, for sure, you know.
What makes a good tribute band?
You know, I think just being, whoa, that's good for the podcast.
I know, right? We're outside.
Hey, shut up. No, you know, I think just being authentic to the band, you know, just having the look and the sound and the gear. You know, it helps when you have a secret weapon like Darren Caperna, our singer. You know, he, as I'm sure we'll get into, you know, auditioned for the real AC/DC when Brian Johnson lost his hearing, and you know, just you got to have the look and the sound. The gear has to be there. And, you know, you got to sound good. Got to have good musicians.
Were you an AC/DC fan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who's not?
Yeah.
But were you, like...
Yeah, I was, you know, AC/DC for me, you know, when I was growing up was right up there with Van Halen and you know, those guys. And Angus was always one of my absolute heroes. Yeah. So, and you know, what's funny is I never really appreciated Malcolm until I joined the band. And then I started finding out that he actually wrote a lot of the hits, and you know, I didn't know he was such an integral part of AC/DC. But you know, some of those rhythm parts are no joke. You know, you think you just go in there and like, oh, you're just playing rhythm guitar, but there's a lot more to it when you really get into the ins and outs of it. And
it says a lot about Malcolm to be able to write those riffs, to play those riffs, and just take that step back, and let his brother, you know, be the show.
And I think I'm perfect for that role, because I want no part of the spotlight at all. That's why it's weird for me doing the Van Halen tribute, because, you know, you got to go out there. I'm not used to smiling on stage, and you got to smile. You're fucking Eddie. Yeah. And
jumping around.
Jumping around and going up to the front of the stage and interacting with that's really, really unnatural for me. So, but I'm getting better and better each show at it. But man, it's so weird for me, because I like to stay in the back. I don't like the spotlight. I'm freaked out by people.
Have you always been like that?
No, I think that it's something that just happened. You know what I think happened is I used to use alcohol as a social lubricant, you know, and I let's just say alcohol wasn't good for me. I think, like most people though, everything I've ever done that I've regretted has been because, you know, I was drinking alcohol. So I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I stopped drinking, and that's kind of when it started, you know. And you know, so I'm to the point now where doing this is a very brave thing for me, man. I like
talking to these mics,
talking into the mics, and you know, just getting, like, you know, we do a lot of, which is weird for me too. We do a lot of like meet and greets, and people come to our the merch booth, you know, after Back in Black shows, and you know, they're really wanting pictures and autographs, which is cool. It's because I think it's partly because I just feel like I'm not worthy. I've never had a lot of confidence in anything I've ever done. You know, whether it's playing guitar or, you know.
Are you very self-deprecating?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm working on that, because I know it's not good. I know you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't think that way, but it's just the way I'm wired. Yeah. So when these people are wanting their pictures, you know, and autographs from me, you know, I just want to tell them, like, hey, look, you know, I work for a bank, you know, like, I just want to tell them that. But what's been happening lately is the social anxiety's gotten so bad, and hopefully some fans who are Back in Black are, you know, listening to this, so they don't think I'm just some dickhead. My social anxiety gets so bad that once we'll have a big show and there's a bunch of people going to the merch booth, and you know, which is almost every show, and sometimes I just have to stay in the green room. I can't come out, and it's not because I'm some like, oh, I'm too fucking good. You know, I'm just terrified. I've just had this weird sense of dread overcomes me. I'm not even sure what it is. Yeah. You know, I've been in therapy a lot, and you know, try to figure some things out. But man, sometimes it's just hard for me, and sometimes I just can't do it.
Well, you said something earlier, like you beat yourself down, but I guess there's a difference between beating yourself down and being hard on yourself. If you're hard on yourself, you can get better. You can beat through that. But so you're more of like, you kind of beat yourself up, or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's in almost every aspect of life, whether it's my 9 to 5 or whether I'm playing, or, after the first Van Halen thing, it was a success by all accounts. There's 800 people out there at Lava Cantina, and everybody's going nuts, and we had a great show. And then my wife comes on stage to congratulate me, and I'm just like, I'm wrapping up all my cables and getting ready to do the Back in Black show because they're next. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm never fucking doing this again. This is it. This is the last show. And I'm just like, and meanwhile, there's everybody screaming for us and going crazy, and we.
I know that feeling, man. I do. Sometimes, not as much anymore. I kind of, when I say, you can be hard on yourself or you can beat yourself up, I always felt there was a time in my life where I felt like I had to take every gig that was offered to me, and I'd be excited, but then I'd get there and I'd be mad at myself. Like, you don't need to be here. Like, you're not good enough. They're going to fucking fire you. Mm-hmm. They're going to find out you're a fraud. It's that imposter syndrome.
You sound like me.
And no, that's why, dude, when you told me in your text, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. But no, I get it. So, but I've had to work on myself, and it's helped a little bit. But I still, I heard a long time ago, like, some of the best advice that was ever given to me is, I wake up and I literally tell myself every day, you're good enough. That's how I start my day.
I should probably, what is that? The affirmation.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I should probably do that and actually do like, Stuart Smalley did, on SNL.
People like it.
Yeah. People like it.
Yeah.
I really should do that. I mean, like even when I was told about the audition for Back in Black, when my good friend, Scott LePage, whose son is in Polyphia, by the way. I don't know if you know Polyphia.
Dude, I watched your documentary last night, and then Mike, your Angus, is that his name? Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Who's funny because his favorite band is Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
But he said, his son is in a really cool band called Polyphia, and I was like, Polyphia, that's the band that did the tune with Steve Vai.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Real quick, hopefully I don't get too sidetracked, but you said, you mentioned Cheap Trick as one of the coolest moments in my 7 or 8 years with Back in Black was we opened up for Cheap Trick, 10,000 people out there. And first of all, we did really well opening for them. And then afterward, we're sitting watching on side stage, and they're about to go into Surrender. Rick Nielsen is
I saw the footage
waving
of him
us over.
and
so we sang the entire song, in front of 10,000 people, Surrender, for God's sake. So it's one of the absolute coolest moments. And with this, there's been a lot of cool moments. That was definitely way up there. But as far as the social anxiety and the nervousness and not feeling good enough, when Scott was telling me about the audition, I went to their website, Back in Black's website, and of course they're going to show all the biggest, the HOV crowds and the all the big, and I'm like, nope, not doing that, And I told my wife, she's like, what are you talking about? So I mean, look, why would they want me? I'm not gonna, I have short hair, and I'm like, I'm not good enough to. And if it wasn't because of my wife, it's the documentary too.
Yeah.
If it wasn't my wife, I would have never in a million years tried out for Back in Black. Not in a million years.
Really?
She kind of forced me into it, and
I'm surprised hearing that because, like I said, man, I've always been a fan of yours. We didn't know each other, just really through social media, that meeting and seeing you. And I remember the cats that I looked up to when I was younger, watching them play. You were one of them,
That's crazy.
It amazes me that, because I know how my plan's nowhere near as good as yours. But so when I go like, oh, I'm gonna suck, they're not gonna want to hear me. So to hear somebody of your talent say that doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah,
everything, even this, man. Every Friday, my partner Lisa, she preps all the social media and puts it out. Every Friday, when I see that Facebook post, I cringe because I'm like, they're fucking. It's like that Adam Sandler. They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you, and I'm sure some people are. There's haters out there. We got one bad review, but it's not bothering me.
Bernie, let me tell you something, man. You're so good at this. Like I was telling you before the podcast started, first of all, you got that golden voice.
Oh, man.
It sounds so cool. I'm being dead serious. But you know how I know you're fucking good, besides just listening to all your podcasts, is it here I am, nervous as fuck. I'm like trying to find reasons not to come out here because I'm so nervous. And you have just put me completely at ease. I'm sitting here talking, like with no problem, and it's because of you and how you're, doing. I don't even feel like it's any kind of interview. We're just sitting here bullshitting.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show how good you are at it. If you could put me at ease, then you're one of the best, man.
No.
Seriously.
Well, thank you, man. That means a lot. It does mean a lot coming from you because our text exchange last night. I was just thinking about it a lot, and I thought, well, do I ask him to talk about that, but then you brought it up yourself, which,
Yeah, and just a real quick funny story. If we have, I don't know how much time we have.
No.
So, just kind of a funny story about the social anxiety and freaking out thing. First of all, another podcast you guys should listen to was with Aiden Mullen.
Yeah.
He's Rick Savage's bass tech.
Aiden.
And you guys were talking about how good of friends your guy, John Taylor and Duran Duran are with Def Leppard, and what a great tour that would be. And yes, that would be an incredible tour. But just have a real quick story about Def Leppard. So I'm excited about seeing this Def Leppard show at American Airlines Center, and they're with Journey. And I'm excited about seeing them both. Def Leppard, I mean, come on, man. That's, for me, On Through the Night, High and Dry, I mean, it doesn't get any better. And so I'm dying to see these guys. It's been a long time since I've seen them. Been a long time since I've seen Journey. So I get my ticket, buy my ticket. My wife doesn't really like to go. She has some social anxiety too. So
you guys meet at a meeting?
No, we actually met when we were both wild and drunk 13 years ago.
Okay.
But so we've both since stopped drinking. But anyway, so I go to this concert and I'm so excited, dude. So I get there and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of the row. So I'm like, okay, I'll be okay. I'll be all right. So I get there and I sit down and Def Leppard's playing first. I'm like, all right, and I can't enjoy it. First song starts, I'm like, I'm freaking out, and I'll be okay. So second song starts, okay, I got to get up. And so I'm just going to go to the merch booth, I guess the concourse area is what that's called.
Yeah.
Just going to go out there and breathe and just settle myself down. Go back in and enjoy the show. So I get up out of my seat and I go to the merch booth, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you're just going to breathe. And you're going to get it together, man. And you're going to go enjoy this. Meanwhile, my feet are doing this. My feet are keeping on going. Next thing you know, I'm out the door. And I swear to God, it's like my mind and my feet are like, well, hey, what the fuck's going on here? Let's get out of here. And I'm not kidding you. Before I even knew what was happening, I was running to my car. I ran to my car. And then I'm driving home, and I called Melissa, my wife, and I was like, well, I'm on my way home. She thought I was kidding. It's like, no. And I told her I just freaked out. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you don't have to explain. I don't like people touching me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very, you and I are in the same industry where people are always around.
Right.
So when I don't like going to bars, I don't like going where anyone, and I don't like to be noticed. Like, I don't like people going, oh, it's a nice shirt. Then I go, oh God, you notice.
Dude, we're like the same person. It's so weird.
It's a problem sometimes. It's almost like, and I'm in the wrong industry, because if I have to go back and talk to my guy and there's a bunch of people back there, like, you're like, and you're doing this, you're kind of squirming through, and if somebody touches you, you're like, oh, I got to go wash my hands. And it's just weird, man. So, I mean, to hear that, that you do it, and I know there's other people that go through that. It's people who don't have anxiety, who don't suffer these conditions. It's very frustrating for them to be around you.
Yeah, so luckily the guys in my band are all of them, both bands. In the Van Halen band, it's two of the same guys. Anyways, they're such lovely people, and they're at first I was like, they probably think I'm just this isn't a real thing, but they're so supportive, and they understand. And Mike, if it's a real... I was going to
say, your guy Mike seems like the nicest person.
Dude, he's so cool. And if it's like a really big show and there's like a huge line of people, he'll ask me like, hey man, if you're feeling up to it, can you come out to the merch booth? And if I can't, he completely understands. But sometimes if he asks me out, usually I just try and suck it up and go.
That was my next question: is being in a band like Back in Black, which you guys are huge, man. You're everywhere. People know who you are.
Dude.
Is it expected of you to interact with the fans, or is it kind of like you answered my question?
Yeah, I don't know that it's expected. I should do it. The Back in Black fans they're hardcore, man. They love their AC/DC. They love their Back in Black.
Yeah,
they love the guys in the band, and it's something I wish I could do every time. I just can't do it. It's just a weird job to be doing with the social anxiety I have. But I think you and I are a good example of you can still go out and do this kind of thing, and you just gotta do it.
I've done a lot of work. The pandemic really brought it out in me. Like, I knew that I've always known that just all this dark thoughts coming at you. You can't do what you love to do. And so I had to kind of work on myself, I had to start seeing a therapist and talk about it and talk about things that bother me. And so I've always been a very cut and dry. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't do any of that. But I've always been like, it's a mind over matter thing. Mm-hmm. Ever since I was a kid, I grew up in a family of alcoholics, addicts. So I know it's in me. But my way of rebelling was not to do this shit.
Nice, man. That's good.
So it was always to me, did I want to do it? Hell yeah. I wanted to go get drunk at the parties and hit on the girls, or, drive my car fast, or have a record. Coming from Corsicana, that's like a badge of honor to have a police record at 17, but I didn't. For reasons, like I said, it was my way of rebelling. But I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah,
because,
of course.
Like I said, when you told me, I thought, man, you know what? I had a feeling all day, because I had 2 other interviews today, and they both rescheduled. And I thought, he's going to cancel on me. Like, I can tell from that text. He's trying to let me down easy. But I thought once I got here, because I'm in Denton, I'm back in where I used to live. I moved away a year ago. I live in New Jersey now. And I thought maybe he's going to be like, well, he drove all the way here. I got to do it.
Well, I can't say that I wasn't kind of hoping that you would cancel it.
No, man.
Only because of, I was just so nervous. I was just dying. I was like, I get so nervous. This shit is so bad. I went to, first of all, Back in Black never practices. I've been with them 7 or 8 years. I can't remember, 7 or 8 years. We've never rehearsed one time, because we play so much. We play 100 shows a year, just about. And Mean Street, my Van Halen tribute, we very rarely practice either. We'll try to get one practice in before a show. And 2 of the guys, the bass player Steven and our drummer Paul, I'm in Back in Black with them. The only different member is a guy named Jet Tessman. He's our David Lee Roth, outstanding David Lee Roth, by the way. And they're all so amazing. But I know these guys really well, so we're going to work up some new songs for the last show we played at Tannehill's. And I'm driving. I'm like, first of all, I'm loading up my car, and I'm just getting this real bad nervous stomach. And then I'm driving there, and I swear to God, I thought I was gonna have to pull over and throw up. I was so nervous and freaked out. Like, I felt like I was going to audition, with some guys I don't even know, and that's how bad it is.
This is on the way to a show with your friends.
On the way to rehearsal.
Oh, rehearsal.
Yeah, with for the Van Halen tribute, and it just hit me so hard. I thought I was going to throw up, and I know these guys really well. It's just.
It's just someone who doesn't go through those motions. They don't understand. And what I was saying is, I go back to what I was saying. I remember it's always been mind over matter, and that's how I continue to progress. And I'm doing it by little bit, but it's hard, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard, especially, like I say, you hang out with your friends, and it's funny. It's a joke in the camp. It's a joke amongst my closest friends. When I leave the room, I go, wait till I leave before you talk about me. Or if I'm walking in, I was like, you guys can quit talking about me. And they all laugh, but I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, they were talking about me.
You want to hear something that's very similar to that?
Yeah.
I'm sitting, so I'm talking to my wife, and I'm showing her like, why the fuck does he, I'm like looking at your other podcast, and you have, fucking guy, Vaden Todd Lewis and Neil Swanson and Jason McMaster, who's my man, by the way. I love me some Jason. I have a cool Jason McMaster story too. And I'm thinking, well, what the fuck does he want me for? What, I even told you, I was like, well, why would you? I don't understand why me? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And the way my mind works, I actually went to, I wonder if he's like, is he going to try to embarrass me somehow, or is this like some kind of weird setup? It's just the way.
Dude, I get it, man.
Where my mind goes to.
I get it. I get it. I've been with this organization for 12 years, and at the beginning of every show, I tell my drum tech, who's my best friend on the tour, I go, dude, I'm gonna get fired tonight. Like,
after 12 fucking years,
dude, and he's like, he'll laugh at me, but we have this talkback mic, that goes to all of our ears. And before the show, everybody's like, everybody have a good show, and I'm like, don't fuck up.
Hey, by the way, congratulations! What a hell of a gig for that long, dude. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's been good. I've done some cool stuff, and I've been offered cool stuff, but people get sick of hearing me say this. You stick with the devil, and working for John, he's probably one of the kindest humans I've ever met, and he takes care of me, and I take care of him, and everybody's like, you guys are really good friends, and I don't like to say that, but I think we are friends. But I feel like you treat musicians like wild animals. Mm-hmm. You can't get too close. But like I said, I've worked for I worked for Jason Isbell, who to me is the if not, in my opinion, the greatest songwriter of our generation. People will argue with me. He was the nicest guy. His crew is like a family, and but I left. That's the only gig I've ever considered leaving Duran for.
Jason Isbell, dude, Southeastern. Oh my God! And I would only put him second to I don't know if you listen to Elliott Smith, but for me, Elliott Smith is at the top. Nobody can touch Elliott. Other than not talking Paul McCartney and Beatles.
Yeah,
that they're on their own. Planet. But for me, it's Elliott Smith and then Jason Isbell. Those are to me the two top songwriters in my generation, in my lifetime.
Now I'm like Tom Petty, Jason Isbell. Those are my guys.
Yeah.
And then, but I love, a good songwriter is a good songwriter, but I feel like Jason doesn't waste any lyrics.
God, he's so good.
Yeah.
And just a real quick callback to another podcast.
Hey, man, it's just, you know what? Lisa's going to be so ecstatic because she's like, these motherfuckers like it, but they don't listen.
Oh, my God. I was listening to the John Taylor, which to me, it's just still like, really, John Taylor? Because back in the Obscene Jester days, our bass player, he was obsessed with John Taylor. He even had that hairstyle that he had back then. Our guy had that too, in a metal band, but he looked like John Taylor, and he liked to play like John Taylor. Anyways, so I was listening to that podcast, and he just seems like the freaking sweetest guy, And then it was just such an amazing episode. Man.
Thank you, man.
Go listen to that episode, John Taylor.
It's funny because when I started this, I go, "Hey, you're going to do my." Dude, I didn't know what I was doing, and of course, I work for, what is it, the 6 times world's sexiest man, 100 million. Of course, I'm gonna ask him to do this show,
right.
And I said, hey, you should do it. And I think we were in episode 8. He goes, let's get a few episodes under your belt, and we'll do it. And when we went out to do the Hall of Fame stuff, I go, hey man, you gonna do this? I was like, I'm not gonna ask you anymore. And he goes, I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Were you at the ceremony, the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, we
ceremony?
got to do that. That was really cool.
Amazing.
It was.
Oh, so I guess you were teching while they were.
Yeah, it was an honor to do that, man.
Dude,
so good.
Bernie, that's amazing. Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
People have their feelings about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but until you've done that, like I feel like other people should be in, but it was to me it was an honor to be there. And
I can't believe I haven't seen. I need to watch that.
Yeah.
Was that HBO Max? Is that what
HBO Max? Yeah.
Why haven't I seen that yet? Yeah, I should have.
Don't sue us, HBO. We're promoting you. No, it was great, man. And working for those guys, like they are icons, man. Think what you will about. I mean, I wasn't a fan when I was younger, but Here, we're just all over the place, aren't we? But working for them,
I think it's my fault.
No, it's okay, man. Like, they're great guys. It's a great organization to work for, and I've met some amazing people through them. It's the people that are. I have my friends that I grew up with. My friends that Denton is really my hometown. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Corsicana, but I moved here very early, so a lot of my lifetime friends are here in Denton. And then there's my road people, and those are the people that I spend more time than I do my own family.
Yeah,
and that's my family. So, and I met them all through Duran.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
The documentary. You guys put out a documentary, My Stupid Tribute Band.
My Stupid Tribute Band. It comes out. It's actually.
Did it just get added to Amazon last night?
Well, yesterday? Yeah. Tonight was supposed to be the when it premiered on Amazon Prime, but it was on there last night. I'm not sure how that works.
I started watching it after midnight. You and I were texting, and I was like, because I went to your website, I wanted to watch it before I talked to you, and then I couldn't find it anywhere, and then it was available. I couldn't sleep. I think I started watching it about 12:30.
Yeah,
I watched the whole thing. It's pretty good. It's an interesting story.
Yeah, for sure. Darren, golly, he's he's just such a character and so good at at his craft and what he does. I've been in the band, and I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows with him. We do approximately 100 shows a year. Been with the band 7 or 8 years, and I still find myself stage right by my amp, sometimes just being a fan, watching him do his thing. Especially when he comes out as Bond. It's like, to me, it's still just amazing.
Exactly.
I'm in awe of the guy.
I've seen you guys a few times. I don't know if you were in the band when I saw you guys out. They opened for Kansas.
I was not in the band.
Okay, but the crowd had a better reaction to Back in Black than they did, fucking Kansas.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
And he does the first shit. He does both Brian and Bond. Mm-hmm. I've never heard anyone do Bond like.
Yeah, it's
I understand why they reached out to my friend Greg Howard was Stevie's tech.
Yeah, I listened to that episode too.
Yeah, so he was Stevie's tech when Darren auditioned for AC/DC, and Trace, who was Malcolm or Angus's tech, is a friend of mine too. And they told me they're like, yeah, that guy came in and fucking killed it.
Yeah,
but they said ultimately the only reason he didn't get the gig was they needed somebody to control.
Yeah, those stadium. European crowds, right? The stadiums,
but it's crazy, man. Like because it is a tribute band, and I've noticed the tribute scene become a thing from cover bands, and there's a difference between tribute bands and cover bands.
Yeah, of course.
But you guys kind of, I want to say, they led the way around here.
Absolutely. I mean, that's you're talking 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing about whether this band's been 20 years or 21 years. Darren and Mike are always fighting about that. But 20 plus years, and and they're still on top of the tribute scene around here. And there's a lot of great tribute acts. I've made some great friends in the tribute scene around DFW and around the country, really. And but Back in Black is just they're the leaders, and they always have been. I remember before I joined them, when I was out in my party days, I'd go fucking Back in Black, I'd go party and like, oh my god, they sound just like AC/DC.
Yeah.
And so that they've always been on top, and we're still it's like. Sometimes, like we play Tannehill's, it's the new venue over in Fort Worth in the Stockyards, holds about 1,000 people, and it's just part of the way I think. Like, is this the night where nobody comes out, and like surely at some point, and then we get there, and it's just I don't know if it was a sellout or not. It looked like a sellout to me. It looked easily like 1,000 people, and it was completely packed all the way front. I showed you that picture, and it just. There's just no decline. We just seem to be rising all the time. Whether it's playing in front of huge crowds or playing these cool gigs. We played in Hollywood. At the Dolby Theater. When our documentary was played at the Chinese Theater there.
Yeah.
That was a trip.
And you guys played at the Dolby, right?
Played at the Dolby, right where they, those stairs were the Oscars.
We did we went to a movie premiere there for Duran, and I thought it was the Man's Chinese Theater, but it's not.
Yeah, it's the Grauman's.
Yeah.
But getting to do things like that, it's just it's really crazy. Like we played the Sturgis bike rally in North Dakota last year, and we were the first tribute band to play the main Buffalo Chip stage, and it was such a success that there's talk about doing a tribute night there. And they, in fact, Mike just texted me yesterday saying we're confirmed playing there in August of this year on the Buffalo Chip stage. So
coming the movie, I remember when you guys went out to LA for the premiere of the movie, and you did that. How did going into that, were you kind of like, oh, there's going to be a tension,
Oh yeah, I asked Mike to get a sub.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because you didn't want any part of that.
I didn't want any part of it. It's a movie premiere with the red carpet. Oh yeah, that's right down my alley, right? Yeah, no.
Flashing lights.
I told Mike, I texted him, I was like, hey man, is there any way you can just get a sub for this? And and he's like, dude, come on. So
how is he like dealing with Darren from the documentary? He dealt with a lot. How is Mike? Does he know how to de-escalate situations?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer.
Because just the issues he had with Darren in putting this band together.
He keeps it all together. Let's say that. He handles everything as far as making sure we get fed. Well, they get fed. I haven't eaten meat or dairy in 10 plus years, but
okay.
So you make sure the venue feeds them and has everything we need. The right equipment, if we're getting backlined, and there's really nothing to handle for him because this band is such a drama-free. Everybody's where they should be when they should be there, and everybody gets along. There's never, ever any kind of tension or anybody mad at each other. It's nothing ever but laughs. The biggest problem is just my cheeks hurting from fucking laughing so hard all the time. Especially Darren, he's just such a character, and he has us all in fucking stitches all the time, and so there's really nothing for Mike to really handle. To be a father figure about.
But when situations like you said, like you ask him, hey, can you get a sub? Is he pretty good about talking you into it?
Well, it's not that he's talking me into it. I think it's more just I think that time he was just like, look, man, I can't get a sub. There's nobody available. And then I have my, people like, I'm lucky enough to have wonderful people in my life, like my wife, who my wife and my sister-in-law, who both pretty much saved my life, a few years ago when I was really just spiraling out of control and, with fucking alcohol and just, with my head, and they had me go get help. And if it wasn't because of them, I would 100%, people say this, but there's no question I would be dead or, in prison. No question. Prison probably for killing a family of 5 in a drunk driving accident or some bullshit, So luckily they saved me and pulled me out of that. And, I didn't even want to live back then. It was like, suicidal thoughts and all that stuff. Yeah. But now I'm happy to be alive. I love life.
Happy playing?
I love my friends. I love, love playing so much. It's all the other stuff. I don't, the people and the getting there. And,
yeah.
But once I'm on stage, everything's fucking great, and life couldn't be better right now.
Right on, man. Yeah. It's good to hear.
Yeah,
good to hear. So, what are the plans for Mean Streets?
Mean Street, just it's kind of tough because Back in Black plays so much, and really the only opportunities we've gotten is opening for Back in Black, which it's good because we just have this built-in huge crowds we're playing. Our first show was at Lava Cantina in front of hundreds of people, and just like the show Friday night at the Tannehills. We're playing in front of 800-900 people probably. It was like our 4th show.
Yeah.
So but the plan is just to play as much as we can.
Yeah.
Maybe fill in some dates where Back in Black isn't playing, which is very rare. But even if we could find shows during the week to play and just play as much as we can, get as good as we can.
Yeah. So you got the approval of 2 of the members because they're in Mean Street. Are the other guys cool with you having this other band?
Oh yeah, I mean, if it wasn't because of Mike, we wouldn't even be happy. He's the one who books us.
Oh, okay,
The opening for Back in Black.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's got us some cool shows lined up this year. We're playing in some cool venue in North Carolina coming up, and so we wouldn't be able to do this without the support of Mike. He's really, really helped us out. I tell him all the time how super appreciative I am that he helps us out, and because we could never do it. It would never get off the ground without Mike's help.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, cool, dude. I appreciate you doing this, man.
Of course,
Thank you.
man. It was painless, and as always, I'm just dreading and just so scared and nervous for absolutely nothing. And it's like
I said, Tom Petty said, most of the things I worry about never happen anyway.
That's the story of my life,
right?
For sure.
I mean, it's true. It's good words to live by. They just happen to be written by the greatest songwriter ever. If you've listened, I'm going to ask you, if breakfast was included, what would you have?
I've listened to a podcast or two. Yeah. For me, it would be I have vegan blueberry muffin or blueberry waffles with peanut butter and about a cup of walnuts every single morning. I'm a creature of habit. But if somebody's making it for me, hey, go ahead and give me a nice tofu scramble with some avocado toast, man. That'd be great.
Right on, man. Well, dude, it was good talking to you. It was good spending time with you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
I know
man.
we've crossed paths, and like I said, it's kind of a creepy story when I tell about the Fast Eddie's thing. But like I said, it's something that sticks in my mind, and I have moments like that throughout my whole life. Anyway.
Well, you're great at what you do, man.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Ramiro
Noriega. Man, Ramiro, I told that story about meeting him several years ago, and it after I listened to it, it sounded kind of creepy, but to me, it's not creepy. He's such a good guy, such a genuine person. Check him out, Back in Black. They tour all over the U.S., so if you see him near your place, check them out. They're really good, and probably Mean Street will be with them. You can find them at Ramiro Noriega on Facebook, or you could check out Back in Black at Back in Black Dallas on Instagram and see when they're coming near you. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.